Oh no!
Versterking gedeactiveerd. Probleem opgelost, kapitein.
The 7 Province is a Tier 8 Premium, which is the finally complete version of the Tier 6. That happened because Tour de France 1940 got a bit out of hands, where the Germans managed to out-colonize the Dutch, seize the ship, and deemed it too obsolete to bother. Being a Dutch ship which had the tendency to be undergunned, gives it one of the lowest DPM for a light cruiser, and you think Ochakov was bad. Keep in mind that DPM matters more for low caliber guns, and you get terrible ballistic along with it. This isn't the ship for killing people quickly or to hunt destroyers, but in return, you get one of the most annoying new ship filled with fresh gimmicks that isn't a sub or a carrier. You might be interested in the Call of Duty skill, but we will get to it soon. It is a narrow ship, with absolutely no armor. This can only mean one thing: it is the most armored cruiser in the game. Thanks to game mechanics, lack of weird armor, and waterline citadel, this gives it ability to suppress damage like how the Dutch suppress nationalist movement, and laughing at textbook guide on how to kill your enemy, though you should still be cautious when dealing with communism. Of course there is a reason why it's hard to kill. As said before, it has weak damage output. However, all of the guns can rotate 360 degrees like that one ship everyone hates but secretly own one. Since I can't find sources if the guns truly spin indefinitely, we will just assume it's balancing factor, and for good reason. This isn't a real naval warfare. It's an arcade game where physics are treated without context. It allows you to switch broadsides quickly and keep firing, no longer bound to the hull, less downtime to rotate the turrets. Because after all, the primary way to do damage is flinging as much shell in the air as long as possible, setting lucky fires, and take pot shots. Even so, this is not a gunboat in any way, shape or form. It is an amalgamation of trays from all the classes in the game. So let's talk about that new bombing raid consumable. This new skill is the most politically correct form of a carrier. Simply point and click. Incredibly annoying. Very hard to master. But at least it doesn't originate from a carrier. Landing airstrikes requires more thinking than guarding an entire archipelago with only one obsolete cruiser. Plus it takes 350 years to land, and are still susceptible to AA. As a general rule of thumb, the slower your target, the easier it is to hit. So your practical targets are the lumbering battleships and those stationary ones. You have to practice as there are no lock-ons or aim assist, but when you do manage to land them, you'd be left wondering how people failed to notice the incoming planes at all. Then again, this is most likely caused by people getting distracted by something else. You need to recognize people that are tunnel visioned if you want those bombs to hit. But please do not strike juicy targets that are surrounded by AA bubble, or you'll throw away your other damage dealing gimmick. A nice warm stroopwafel is how you see the 7 Province. Tastes great but won't satisfy your hunger. Its performance is on the extreme side of how easy it is to carry a game. Even with a boatload of gimmicks, it needs assistance of other ship more than anything else, and vice versa. Your team would need your gimmicks to outplay the enemy. At any given circumstances, you want to be the one that the enemy focuses on. Use your ironically dense armor to bait shots while you wiggle around, or just show flat broadside and taunt people to aim better. You can be wherever you want, as long you kept shooting and mobile. Though pay attention to long range shots which can easily citadel the ship. If this happened, then blame yourself for not seeing it sooner, and maybe don't get too intimate to friendly ships. While airstrike is cool and wacky when it hits, Here is a shocker. You don't necessarily have to use it to do damage, as it is currently one of the best tools to expose and manipulate the enemy. For example, you can just airstrike an empty part of the map to check if there is a concealed ship, because even if it's illogically balanced to prevent spotting, it still triggers the AA on that unspotted ship, giving you their whereabouts. Now imagine if it's a carrier planes. Bet it won't be treated indifferently, but hey, at least it cannot spot. You can also use it to get destroyers out of their smoke. You don't do damage, but your team will, and if they decide to stay you can once again laugh at their obliviousness, but I'm 69% certain the players you meet should be able to notice the incoming planes. This is where you take advantage of their awareness, like dropping ships using carrier planes. You drop bombs in part of the ocean they want to be. This causes them to avoid said part and make them more vulnerable against everything else. Again, you won't do damage and your team wouldn't notice. But if the guy is compromised and provoked, tell them that you are being defensive, something the Dutch had attempted before, and that's how to be successful on this ship, because it is incredibly shitty at farming damage and doing things by itself. Camping island and taking advantage of bad ballistic would never be enough to fully utilize a ship. Good thing it has post-war AA to make carriers upset. This is a ship when top tier, and this is when it's bottom. It dominates any lower tier ships, but fight anything bigger than itself that also has repair party will give you a bad time. So avoid soloing people and pay attention to BB that shoots HE. This is a prevalent weakness on cruisers that are criminally overlooked. Oh, and fun fact, you can't kill yourself with your own bombs because it has a minimum distance and you can't reach them even with maximum speed. No suiciding. Suiciding bad, but suiciding into torpedoes is definitely an unacceptable action. This is how you outfit the HNLMS Identity Crisis. You take Last Stand, Demolition Expert, Superintendent, and Concealment. Then take Adrenaline Rush, Focus Fire, Radio Location, Grease the Gears, and Incoming Fire Alert. For the upgrades you get Main Armament 1, Engine Room Protection, Aiming System, Steering Gears 1, and Concealment. Then take these flags you most likely get from super containers. At the end of the day, you are still a Dutch cruiser. You are some speed bump that the Japanese trample on their conquest for Greater Japan, then staying in the sidelines cheering the un-invasion force. If you're looking for a legitimately good premium, the Atago is still the ship of choice. But if you're here for some fresh gameplay sponsored by gimmicks that can walk into a hellhole and casually escape, this is a ship for you. But remember to curb your expectations, as the only gimmick that truly mattered is how you play the game. Whether you're here to seal club, or just wanna see ships go boom boom. Now go out there and drop justice on copium vessels, while getting away for not being a carrier yourself. Maybe one day they will have submarine gimmick on surface ship as well.
Up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane!
Verwijder kokosnoot.
What? How? Why? I have so many questions! Torpedo's, recht vooruit. Torpedo's, recht voor ons. Bres in de romp. We maken snel water.